Hi, Danny. How are you?
I'm very good, and I got to thank Arun for that talk. Really wonderful stuff, and he's doing incredible work. I'm really thankful for what he's doing, and I'm definitely going to be one of the mentors at some of those initiatives.
Oh, I love that. This is kind of the best part, it's like the cool thing about doing it the way we are doing, where we have some crossover of people as opposed to all these different sessions, is you get that value that you get at those conferences when you just bump into somebody in the hallway. And so I really appreciate that, even though, we're all home and maybe still have slippers on our feet, we're actually out networking, we're connecting with people, we're passionate about the same things. And so this is a big one that you're diving into, and I'm really excited for your presentation because it's really why we're all here. Where are the big opportunities? There's lots of debates about what's going to be great, about what went wrong, things like that, but where are the big opportunities? You've been in the thick of it for a minute, so I'm going to hand it over to you, Danny, and let you take us through your presentation.
Thanks, Samantha, and thanks, Arun, for your talk previously. I'm Danny Stefanic. Of a weird and wacky and wonderful history in the world of virtual reality and XR. So nearly 30 years developing businesses, virtual reality businesses, even pre-internet. So having built the world's first commercial viewer for real estate and virtual tours on the internet, first 3D shopping solution, and also built the first metaverse from 2000 to 2012 called Exit Reality, and own a number of 3D virtual worlds and games as well. But in the last 6-7 years, really been focused on 3D in the browser and how to enable that. Funnily enough, a history lesson, 3D in the browser was actually something that was available way back with Netscape and Internet Explorer for a few years, and it was quite an exciting time. And so a bit of a renaissance now that we can access 3D in any browser here. So I'm CEO of MoodUp, which is a virtual events and meetings platform that runs entirely in WebXR, but also a sister company, LearnBright, which is for building immersive training scenarios. And a bit like Arun in Africa for building up the WebXR community there, I started the Virtual Reality Association in Australia back in '94. I've been around the block doing this stuff for a while. What we're here to talk about today is, where are the WebXR opportunities hiding? So I talk to a lot of people who are building and developing in WebXR, and a lot of them are single developers or small teams, and they're doing incredibly innovative stuff. And I really, really see those developers and those teams create sustainability, so they can build a business out of it, and they can bring that innovation and passion into creating things that the larger organizations just don't have the kind of capability of doing. So this kind of garage, WebXR that's happening is just incredible, and the innovations are just amazing. And the more people can get into a sustainable industry, the better. So a lot of people are talking about AR and virtual reality and 3D, but to me, I kind of want to start with a bit of philosophy. That the real opportunity here is what I call 3D as a media type. Now, pre-internet, we had text, images, video, audio, and we repurposed all those and digitized them and used them on the internet. But 3D as a media type is really young. It's really new. Prior to computers, really it was sculpture, architecture, but now we have this 3D media type, and it's available in all browsers. And so that means you can really build stuff and deploy it everywhere, which is super exciting. But it really is the beginning. We're at the very foothills of 3D as a media type, which is going to change the way in which humans communicate, record history, all manner of things. And it's a superset of all those other media types: video, images, audio, text. And that in human history, we're going to hit a point where that's a critical mass, and that's going to give us just a graph up in the way that we use that technology. So anyone who's in the 3D business right now, you're at the very of something that's going to be absolutely extraordinary. Now, a number of people start and they try and do things in, let's say, VR. Expecting that they can just do VR only, use a headset, everyone will have a headset, and if you're lucky, you have a hit, and you might sustainability out of that. But the truth is, and one of the beautiful things about WebXR is you can access all devices, which means you can get into organizations who are looking for a real return on investment. They want to be able to spend some money and have all organization benefit from it. And that doesn't mean everyone needs a headset. It just means that you can deliver an experience that has value. And most of the experiences, let's say in learning and training, where we started, those experiences, traditional learning and training, e-learning is going online, doing a few slideshows or videos and answering a multiple choice quiz at the end and trying to pick the correct answer. But now with 3D, you can bring in scenarios that are non-linear, dynamic, and people can go through experiences and learn from failure within those. And that itself shift from the linear kind of lecture type presentation of material to an engaging experience adds value. And so that adds 80% more value to a learning experience, and immersion adds, let's say, another 20%. But you don't have to necessarily have the immersion to deliver value to an organization, but it does allow them to start experimenting with VR. And this is what's got us really a lot of success, is being able to deliver to the whole audience and allow the organization to investigate and dip their toe in and play with virtual reality, augmented reality as well. And we do that with a platform that we have. I might show a little bit of that as we go through, just so it gives you a little indication of what we're talking about. But I mainly want to talk about the opportunities, not about our platform. Our platform is a 3D platform. It might be interesting. The main things that I want to talk about are, how do you create sustainability? So as I said, the real opportunity is 3D as a media type. That's where the massive opportunity is. And I believe, and I talk about quite often, what I call the VR chasm. And that is companies that start off on the virtual reality side and then realize that there's not enough people there in the business side of things, consumer maybe, but business, there's not enough people there using headset to deliver something that can create sustainable revenue. And when I talk about sustainable revenue, we want to be paying month on month or year on year for what the value you're providing. And we found, quite frankly, that enterprise has been really the sweet spot. We've done a lot with education, we've done a lot with research and development and non-profits, but we found with enterprise, ability of spending has been good. Education is up and down. People might have funds 1 month or 1 year, and they won't have funding the next, unless you can get into the curriculum on education. Getting into the curriculum can be really beneficial. So we started off with our platform with LearnBright, doing learning and training, and that was a tough thing to sell at the time. 6.5 years ago with WebXR, and at the time only Chrome browsers supported it, and the others didn't. But eventually everything's moved in the right direction. We were lucky; we got a lot of very large clients, but we went through a lot of hoops to get vendor approval with these large organizations. I'm talking about pharmaceuticals, banks, insurance companies. And they have more and more strict policies that you need to abide by. And as a startup, that can be really difficult. So one of the things I tend to recommend mentoring to startups, so they can learn from my 30 years of mistakes. Not all mistakes, but there's a learn from. But focusing on mid-market companies or smaller companies as clients, instead of going after the big fish, you'll makers that are much happier to make. You'll be talking to the decision maker, number one, but you'll also get who is willing to make a decision and maybe not be as stringent on all of the security due diligence or other aspects. Now, this is good and bad for organizations. Obviously, we want high quality security on all organizations, but the smaller organizations are a little bit more lenient, and that way you can get into the experience or into the projects and opportunities a lot easier. So not always going brand names, but going for the middle market companies, you'll have a lot more success and be able to get in to these type of gigs. And once you've got a few gigs in, you can really win from those. And at the beginning, we had getting into some of the large organizations ourselves. And I was just talking to someone this week, one of the other presenters here, about a way of achieving that. One of the things we did, we offered to build scenarios in our platform, pick one of the most trouble, areas for the business, and we would create a very short scenario with very limited parameters, but enough for somebody to go through and have a learning by doing experience. that in return for free, in return for being able to use it for publicity, for example. So we got some very small projects. Thankfully, our product is easy to build these types of experiences, so it didn't cost us much to do. And we had these pieces of work that we could then use to close other clients. And that was really helpful. So having those demos, the reputation of other companies helped us get through into that. So that was very, very useful. The vendor approval since, we've got thousands of customers, but hundreds of 1,000 or Fortune 500 companies. And getting in with those is I gotta say, no matter what you do, every vendor approval is going to be a challenge, something new, something tricky. And we've been building a security Bible of all the questions that we've been asked, and every single one is different and adds more diligence to your organization. And unless you've got a lot of splashing funds around, that can be quite challenging. So that's my kind of
probably worth a lot of money to new startups. It's so funny because you really don't learn all the little intricacies until you're out there pitching.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And that's something we did as well. We spent a lot of time interviewing organizations. So out of the Fortune 500 companies, I interviewed 200 personally.
Wow.
And and all it was fact finding. So we asked a lot of questions. We didn't product at all. It was really about finding out what the real needs of the organizations were. But this is what is called the lean methodology, or getting out of the building and talking to your customers. It's pretty standard stuff. But if you're not familiar with lean methodology, then you should probably read up on it, because you can waste a lot of time building something that nobody wants. You really want to make sure that what you're building aligns with your clients. And in our case, we did something interesting. We're profitable, and we build the product based on what our customers want. So actually part of our business is, if you want a custom scenario built, something where you're going in and talking to chatbots and going through a scenario with AI characters for patients or virtual customers, then that's a custom solution, and we charge a profit margin on building those type of things. We have a platform studio for building experiences, but anyone can build experiences in our platform. But for features that go into the platform, we allow clients to sponsor it. So let's say somebody needs a new improvement to using the microphones in a meeting. We implement cost without charging any profit, and it goes into the platform for everyone's benefit. So that's a really useful way to grow the company.
Kind of like a bounty for features, right? Like that was how I started with Janus VR. I was like trying to make a music video, and they didn't have echo rendering. And so it was like, okay, well, if I pay you guys to get echo rendering, can we do it, kind of thing? And then it just was like, after a certain amount of paying for little features and upgrades, we just started working together. And I think that that's a really natural, and I think it's great, because there are those businesses that want to be a part of the cutting edge. And what you're doing is you're allowing them to be a part of that story in making it better, just by sponsoring a direct development like that. I really appreciate your insight, and I'm excited to have a party in Mood Up. So maybe next after party we'll have there. And I want to also, I don't know if you've met John Morris from Nowhere yet, but he also has a virtual event platform space that I just toured last week. So it would be great for you to connect as well, because you're doing a lot of really great things for the community, and bringing in actual outsiders, actual businesses into these spaces to connect, and that really does more for the business side than I think any amount of tweeting and promoting could do, is actually having those events in there and bringing people in to do their regular life without them being like, oh, we're in VR, it's just like, hey, this is a better way of doing things. And the less we have to talk about the novelty of it, the more we know we've hit adoption, which is coincidentally the topic of today's panel, the roadmap to mass adoption. So thank you so much for joining us today, Danny. And we look forward to having you back. And
my pleasure. Thank you, everyone.
Great.